Good afternoon and welcome to All Four Quarters episode 3. As usual, I am your host, Christopher Skibiris.
And I'm Dominic Cunyo,
the AFLS expert for All Four Quarters. And we have another special guest. We have a rapper and football enthusiast, Timmy.
It's good to be here.
So we hear you're a football enthusiast. Like,
I love it. I love it.
Who do you barrack for, Tim?
I barrack for the Mighty Saints. They're great.
Loves the audience. Okay, I guess we should get straight to
Yeah, we should just get straight to it.
Let's just get straight to it. The first point I want to come up is Essendon were able to win after a giant scare.
Go the Bombers! This thing's jawline.
After a giant scare.
The Giants actually led by 21 points at half time. It was a good game, and eventually, I think just the pre-season's just got the better of GWS, so Essendon get over the line. And they set up a blockbuster match on Friday night against Geelong.
Yeah, two undefeated teams, but I don't know.
We'll find out. We'll find out later on how it
I don't
goes.
know whether Essendon can cope with that. What about you, Timmy?
No, I reckon not. They're having a good season.
Next point is after a great season so far for Port Adelaide, they have finally powered out. As the Roos have been able to give Port Adelaide their first loss of the season in Hobart, 10-point victory to North Melbourne.
Yeah.
Oi.
Good for
Just some gunshots in the
just nothing serious.
Being 8 minutes of the column boys.
So the Roos were
I
lucky.
have to say, I really like how Port Adelaide has been able to step up and never ever give up. They are absolutely on fire because throughout that match, North Melbourne got to a 6-7 goal lead and Port Adelaide never stood down and gave up. They continued to fight. And they very nearly stole it.
When Archer.
Yeah.
They'll have a good season, Port Adelaide. I reckon they could make finals.
Then we saw the President James Brayshaw drop a sitter on the balcony.
He'll be very disappointed himself next to Peter Siddle.
Can't get his baggy green.
Never did and he never will.
Now, I'm a bit skeptic about this next topic, Dom. You wrote this in.
Particularly me, because the Adelaide Hawthorn game that we saw, I think Adelaide were absolutely robbed and they probably deserved to win the game. Because I just feel they were, particularly that mark that Scott Thompson was disallowed, that really just changed the game because that was definitely not a free kick in my opinion. Hawthorn had a good start, but they were very lucky to get the win over Adelaide.
Now, on the contrary to that, Dom,
How do you feel about this, Chris?
I don't think the Hawks were lucky. Yes, they played some bad football, but that doesn't mean they're lucky. In the end, they outclassed the Adelaide Crows, who simply couldn't compete with Tex Walker.
You could say that, but
Biased.
you could say that. Just I do worry a bit about Buddy Franklin. It's twice in a row he's been goalless.
Yeah, it's not.
Maybe he's a good decoy, but he shouldn't really be going goalless in 2 games in a row. Just doesn't work.
Fair enough.
Now, how quickly does football change in 3 weeks? 3 weeks ago, we were just saying Richmond were undefeated and Carlton were winless, and it looked like Richmond might be able to make finals for the first time in 12 years. But now, how quickly have things changed? Carlton have replaced Richmond in the top 8.
Yeah, the Blues.
They've been able to turn over their season, and now they're undefeated. Not undefeated, sorry. They're undefeated the last 3 weeks. And now they're in the 8.
They're now in the 8, so looks like finals, here they come, Blue Boys.
Well, I wouldn't say just yet, but they've had a good... It's pretty good. Now, speaking of that Carlton game, they obviously versus Melbourne, who of course are in a terrible situation.
It's not looking good for the Mighty D's. Jack Grimes done his collarbone.
He's out for 2 months, I hear.
Yeah. Looks unfortunate.
Yeah, it is a bit unfortunate.
Yeah, it's unfortunate for the Demons.
Give him 2 weeks, he'll be back in.
No. Unfortunately, I don't think it's going to happen.
It's unfortunate, but
well, we hope Melbourne can get up, and they've got the Gold Coast this week, which is very important for them.
This is a must-win. We saw them struggle against GWS, but
eventually got over the line.
Got over the line. 12 goals in the last turn.
Yeah.
Big margin.
Now, finally, West Coast have won at their home ground in Patterson Stadium.
It's been 6 long rounds.
They finally got
and
there.
finally they've got their
I reckon
first
they could kickstart this season now after this victory. Works out well.
Yeah, hopefully like this spurs on the rest of the West Coast season. I really do want to see them like make it into finals this year.
Me too. Now, what I want to address, I want to go back to Friday night, Tim. I want your thoughts from a St Kilda's point of view and how they performed against Collingwood. Bring up the apple.
So what do you
So, Timmy, what can you say to us?
I think.
Is that a jazz apple?
Nah, St Kilda, they put up a good fight, to my opinion. I think that they gave it their all. A couple of players like Cozzy, stupid, he could be out for multiple weeks for that silly elbow. But other players like Dalsano, he was a bit quiet. He could have played a bit better. As well as big bad Milne, he could have played a bit better as well in the forward pocket. But other players that played good were Robertson. He's a good gun.
Yeah.
He's
Looks like he's really setting to your back line. Looks really good.
and Rewalt was in form too.
I have to say, Revolt in that last quarter was outstanding for St Kilda. Single-handedly kept in the game, kicking 3 goals in that last quarter.
Yeah, but
He really put his heart out.
unfortunately the Pies did outclass.
Eventually, Collingwood did get over St Kilda.
Yeah, they outclassed them in every aspect.
Robert Harvey.
Eventually, yeah.
The other win, which was a depleted team, was the Dockers. Getting over the line.
Adelaide getting over the Gold Coast.
Don't talk with your mouth full.
And also Sydney getting over the line
Yes.
against Brisbane, good victory for
Although
them.
both of those games were expected, but it was a bit of a shock just to see the amount, like just to see how much heart Sydney play with. It's going to be a strong challenge for the Hawks next week.
I don't
It'll be
know.
a struggle. So it'll be a good game to watch that one.
Yeah.
Now the ultimate showdowns, the 2 big matches of the week this week.
We'll address it further when we get to the tips at the end of the show.
But I reckon Geelong and Essendon, that's going to set up. That will set up the tone for the rest of the season.
People should say that it should be moved to the MCG, but it should, I think, in my opinion, but it won't happen because the AFL has a stadium deal with Etihad Stadium, which means they would have to play this game at Etihad. It's unfortunate, but that's how stadium deals go, I guess. But it'll be 50,000 packed to see 2 undefeated teams go head to head.
Yeah.
It'll be an extraordinary game.
J-Pod.
This determines where Essendon and Geelong go.
Not really.
Well, it does.
I still think it's a little too early to jump to that conclusion.
Hear me out, boys. Hear me out. Both teams are undefeated.
My boy.
Right?
Hear me out.
Both teams are undefeated. The one who loses will be pushing for those wins. But as we saw with
I want to
Essendon
fight back.
as we saw with Essendon last year, they just dropped off at the very end.
They did. It's just a question of to see if it happens again this year. So I think they're pretty much guaranteed for finals if they win this game against Geelong, I think.
Yeah.
And I reckon Geelong has such an easy finish to the end of the season.
Geelong are a good side.
I reckon they could reach the grand final this year. This is a genuine... I know it's early and it's a genuine statement, but I think Geelong can make the grand final this year. They have such a fantastic start to the year, and from round 10 onwards they play all their home games at Simmons Stadium. They could be a force that would just not go away. I reckon they might as well win their 4th flag in 7 years.
Yeah.
They could do it.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Now,
Look out.
Dom's inbox.
Yeah.
Now, Dom's got a couple of questions from the viewers.
This is from Thomas, Dom's inbox. Who do you think is the best power forward in the game at the moment?
Oh,
Ron James.
Now, I have to say,
Tom Cunha.
there are plenty of fantastic power forwards at the moment, and they all differ and they're all great in different types of ways. I think Buddy Franklin's absolute athleticism for the Hawks is just second to none. It's outstanding, and he is just a great athlete to watch for the game. I think, well, yeah, obviously, but I think in terms of big power forwards, I think one of the best will have to be Travis Cloke, because the contested marks that he takes every single week is just...
A little bit biased there, Dom. Travis Cloke.
Well, our viewer who sent you this question actually said the same thing, Travis Cloke. He's just a power forward, just takes those contested marks that dominates his opposition. And I have to agree with you. I think Travis Cloke is, in terms of power forwards, probably has to be the best one. But he isn't actually the best forward.
Kick straight.
Now, next question.
Next question is from Jason. He says, who do you think is going to win the Brownlow this year?
Oh,
Tough call. I want to say
Nathan
Watson will
Buckley,
go back
Magic
to
Door.
back.
I don't think Watson will put up a performance like last year, but I reckon, I agree with what the audience has just said. I think Koch will win it. I think he will single-handedly get Richmond into finals this year. I reckon he'll get it.
Yeah,
Now, the last inbox is from our mate Timmy.
Timmy!
Now, I would like for you to explain to the viewers this question that you
Read-
What was your question?
I think we should hear the question first.
You seem to be having trouble on the golf course.
Yes.
You cannot seem to get off the fairway and onto the green, and you're wondering what type of club that you should be using.
He's coming up.
Well,
What's the exact problem that you can explain to the viewers?
Explain to the viewers one-on-one.
Well, I'm using a 5-iron at the moment, off the fairway, trying to reach the green, probably about 100 metres.
Yeah.
And what's happening is, because it's a bit uphill, so basically when I'm hitting the ball, it's not really travelling as far as I would like it to. And you seem like you know a lot about sports, so I was just wondering, what do you think, what would you recommend for a young aspiring golfer?
The one that goes furthest up your ass, Timmy.
Well, it's not me stumped.
He's a patter.
Yeah. So there we have. That's the first Dom's inbox.
I do have to say, I think next time don't ask those questions.
So if you have a football question,
just
don't
curious.
send it.
It's a good question, but mate, when it comes to golf,
Yeah.
I'm pretty much stumped.
I got one from a viewer viewer named Rob. Now, Rob didn't obviously listen and wrote to me instead of Dom, and he said, "Who are your top four and why?"
Well, Chris, who are your top four and why?
At the moment, it would be the Cats. So
I agree with that one.
the Cats, the Swans, and I'm gonna put they don't make my top four, but
it to himself.
the Hawks, and to top it off, probably Cats, the Swans, the Hawks, and finish off Essendon. So just
I kind of agree with that, but I think Hawthorn was steady and finished first at the top of the ladder, followed by Sydney and then Geelong and Collingwood.
My top four is completely different.
Go the Bombers.
What's your top
I
four?
also think Port Adelaide will replace Adelaide in the top 8.
Go the Giants.
My top four, at the moment, at this present point in time, would be Hawthorn, Collingwood,
Gold Coast.
and Essendon.
Gold Coast.
Okay, now let's get to the tips.
Let's get to tipping
now,
for the week.
we've already touched base on it, but who do you think will win the Friday night blockbuster between Geelong and Essendon?
I'm going to say the Cats will get up.
I think, I agree, I think Geelong is the better team at this moment, and I think they will beat Essendon. Now, next game is huge for both sides. Port Adelaide take on Richmond at Amy Stadium. It's a very, very important game, particularly for Richmond, because they've lost their last 3 games in a row, and they need to get back on this winners list if they want to be proven that they can contest for finals this year.
Well, with current form, I'm going to say Port Adelaide will win easy, so...
Do you?
Yeah, I'll go Port too.
I know it's very, very early to say, but I'm going to back Richmond. I think they can beat Port Adelaide.
Hey, Johnny!
Next one is again another important game for both sides. Brisbane take on West Coast at the Gabba.
Well, West Coast showed a dominant display on the weekend,
I did.
so it was good to see them get over the line at Patterson's. I reckon they're going to carry that form over to the Gabba.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree. I think West Coast will win.
Yeah.
Brisbane is shocking. West Coast, without a doubt.
West Coast.
Next game is the Bulldogs take on North Melbourne and Etihad.
Yeah.
I think North Melbourne should win this one.
Yeah, North will
Unfortunately, the Bulldogs are they're really not in contention at all.
North will continue their dominant display, so they'll get up by probably about 15 goals.
I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that much because that's
15 goals.
That's
You're
a
dreaming.
big margin. I will say 7 or 8 goals. Half that.
Jesus.
Yeah.
What do you reckon, Timmy? Do the Bulldogs have any chance whatsoever? That's the question.
No, they don't.
You're going to be blown out of the water.
They're gonna win it. Mario.
Now,
As always.
we have 2 massive Saturday night games, which I don't think the broadcasters would like having them both at the same time. At the MCG, we have the grand final rematch. Hawthorn take on Sydney at the MCG.
Well, it's self-explanatory. As a proud Hawks man, I'm going to say the Hawks will get over the line by a goal or
Dreaming.
2.
They got no chance.
Timmy? Who do you reckon? Sydney? I agree. I reckon Sydney will get over Hawthorn. I reckon they're the better team, and I think they will get Hawthorn, who have been on a roll. But I think Sydney will win this game.
Yep.
Next game is Fremantle taking Collingwood at Patterson Stadium, which is a big game for both
Now-
sides. Oh, tough one, this one.
Patterson Stadium, home ground advantage, as they say. Collingwood are travelling. I'm going to say...
Collingwood's had a very good travel record.
Seedsman is on fire.
He is. Who's going to win between Freo and Collingwood?
Seedsman.
Let's see. Okay.
Plays.
I reckon maybe the Pies. I know that they've had that they're going to Patterson, but they'll get over the line.
Yeah, Collingwood.
Yeah, I agree. I think Collingwood will beat. Now, this is probably a pretty easy tip to pick, but I think it's GWS versus Adelaide at Skoda Stadium. I'm pretty sure Adelaide will finally get back on those winners
Yeah.
list and get
They'll get
hopefully their season back up and running.
They'll get their first win.
Who, GWS?
No, Adelaide. They'll get their first win since Tex Walker was out. So you'll give their new forward a chance to prove himself in the absence of Big Tex.
So Timmy, GWS any chance to beat Adelaide?
No.
So Adelaide will win. Next game,
chance.
Melbourne versus Gold Coast at the MCG. Now this is a huge game, particularly for Melbourne and for the Gold Coast who want to get some more wins on the board. I just have a feel that Melbourne lose this game, the media is going to be on them more than ever,
Yeah.
and Mark Gill will almost lose as well. I think.
Yeah. Melbourne will get over the line here.
I'm going to say Gold Coast.
You reckon Gold Coast will be up?
I reckon Gold Coast.
I think
will be up.
GC.
I reckon Gold Coast have a massive chance, but for safety reasons, I will tip Melbourne. Now, the next game is actually next Monday night.
I'm not too fond of Monday night games.
St Kilda versus Carlton at Etihad Stadium. Obviously, Saints going to you back and any chance to beat Carlton.
If they play like they did last week, they might, but we'll have to see what happens. But I'm going to say St Kilda anyway and just take it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. I reckon.
You reckon St Kilda will win? I think it's probably a bit too early to say.
Well, I'm going to back my mate Timmy here, so...
That's it. Probably too early to say, but at this very moment I'll say Carlton.
Well,
I will change my tip.
we saw Cristiano go down on the weekend.
Yeah, it was just a bit of a hamstring strain. I think he'll be fine in the next week or so.
It really depends on the injury list, so actually I don't even know whether I'm going to lock that tip in, so I could change it at any moment.
Me neither, I could change my tip as well. It's just too
Tough
early to
game,
tell.
it is a tough
now,
game.
we should tell the viewers about our polls.
Yes, our polls. Now, we have 2 polls this week.
One goes up his arse.
Not that.
Wow! Alright, our first poll of the week is how do you feel about Monday night football?
Do you think it should stay? Do you think they should change the teams and not always have St Kilda and Carlton? He's obviously not happy with it, or do you think they should scrap it completely?
Yeah,
we want your answers on our
And
Facebook.
Dom, our second poll?
Our second poll is. You need to tell us that poll because I don't know.
Tony doesn't remember. Well, a couple of weeks ago when I was talking about the inaccurate kicking saga, after cameras were off. Yeah!
That's actually not the poll.
That's
The poll is, where do you think we should film our next school talk?
Broad Meadows!
There's one suggestion, but it will not be on the poll.
Yeah, so it's just areas around our school.
Just give us your suggestions and we'll go to the highest vote for next week's show.
Alright, so that's all from us. So.
We'd like to thank Timmy for being our very special guest. And also,
thank you, Dom, and
but don't forget to like our Facebook page and our
subscribe to our
Facebook and Facebook.com/Timmy with 4 M's.
Up and coming superstar here, yes.
Illuminati!
And then we will see you next week.
Yeah, we'll
Bye
see
for
you next
now.
week.